we are here on behalf of Sega and Atlas because today we are going to, in a couple of minutes, I'm going to show you a toy that no other human beings have seen in person. Right? If you go to Google, you'll see a photo. We'll put it up here, but nobody's seen it physically. Right? So we'll take it out. Hell, I might even pass it around to you guys. You guys can hold it there. So we're going to talk about it a little bit, and then I think they're going to have somebody come up here with me. We're going to do some Q&A if you've got some. And then when we're done, on the way out, if anybody's got anything, then you need to put a scribble on, I'll do it, right? So how did we get into doing Persona 3 Unload, right? Well, it was kind of easy. We've been doing toys for 30 years, and we've done a bunch of anime, right? So going all the way back to Akira. That was our very first one, right? So we hit it right out of the box with Akira, stuff like Ghost in the Shell, and then recently things like Demon Slayer and My Hero Academia and a few others. Anyways, so we're constantly looking for the things that seem to be exciting to you guys, right? Early on in my career, when I started making toys, I used to pick the stuff that I wanted, and then I went, no, there's way more of you than me, so I'm just gonna go to the internet and I'm gonna see what it is that you guys like, and then I'm gonna go after that. And then even within that, sometimes we actually even do sort of polls and questionnaires to see what characters you want, right? So it's interesting because there's sort of two times you can do figures. You can do figures before something comes out, and nobody really knows who the new characters are. Sometimes if it's a brand new game, they don't even know who the characters are. And so nobody really knows who to vote for. And sometimes we're asking, when we're actually talking to the designers, who do you think we should be making? What do you think the fans, right, would want? I've always asked the question to the designers, if you could only have one figure or two figures, which ones would they be, right? You tell me, because you're the guys that are designing it, which one would you want? And they usually give it to us that way. The other way, which is way easier, is you wait till the game comes out and then you just listen to the internet, right? Because the internet, every comment is a vote, because you guys are always saying, oh, I like this one, or I like this character, or I like this one, I hate that guy, that costume's dumb, and we get all of that, and then we just build upon it. So one of the questions somebody might ask is like, I'm going to show you one figure here, is that, well, who else are you going to do? The answer is, we've got our list because we're making them right now, but I'd be curious to hear a little bit of voting on your side before we get there. So that's it. The figure that I have here is the Protagonist. Protagonist has never been done before. That's a one of a kind. Good thing it's not made out of China. So, all right. So we come up with our figures, we get them. The process, let me talk to you a little bit about the process. I found that anime license are the toughest to do, but they're the most rewarding because the designers and the producers are really the biggest sticklers that there are, right? Like we do a lot of stuff for Hollywood and TV and others, and they're like, it kind of looks like them, right? Like, looks like them, good. Right? How much money are you giving this Todd? But the anime people, they're like, if you don't get it right, they don't care how much money you give them, right? They make changes that they're going, why is the point of his hair going up near the bridge of his nose? Why can't it curl to the middle of his eye? Now that's on a head that big. So that movement is about 1/88th of an inch. You wouldn't even notice it. If I showed you the before and after, you wouldn't even notice it. But they won't approve it unless you get it dead right. And I admire it because they're so passionate about what they end up doing and how they design it and what they put in there. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull this out. You guys are going to get to see it in person for the first time. I think they're going to end up showing, oh, here. You can actually pre-order it if you want to, if you do the QR code. But here it is in 3D for the very first time, right? And now I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what's in the package. And what you get, oh, look at you.
Hey, how's it going?
You got a TikTok account?
No.
Yeah. All right. So what you're gonna get in there, and we've figured out some other ones. You guys can see here. You get three extra faces on it, right? So I don't know how many of you collect or have bought action figures in the past of any of your brands. Okay, good. We got it. Yeah. Good. So sometimes, when you get extra heads, it can become a pain in the ass, right? Because you got to snap off the head, whatever. It gets a little bit loose, whatever. So we've got the method now that it's a magnet, essentially. And you just go, and you can put whichever one you want. And so you get three of them on there. I find that if you can switch out pieces really easy, like people are way more satisfied than if they go, oh man, I put this in here and then they break it, right? You get 5 extra hands, and again, it's weird to me because I never thought hands would be sort of a big deal to collectors, but they do. And I'm like, why do they need 5 extra hands? But it depends on what you're holding in your hand too, right? Either for expression, or if you've got a gun, you got to do this, and if you got a sword, you got to do this, and if you got a big thick axe, you got to do this, right? So you got to have something a little bit different on each one of them. This one comes with the Epicor sword, right? So we get the sword in there, which is why one of the hands that comes in there. And what we're most proud of, and I would argue this is the toughest piece to get signed off artistically and still make it so that you guys enjoy it. It's got 22 points of articulation, which means there's 22 places that move, right? So that's hands, elbows, sometimes, I'm trying to think of this one here, biceps, shoulders, right? Shoulders up in here, even ankles, right? Sometimes when we're making toys, people don't pay attention to ankles, and it seems like a silly thing, right? I mean, they do this with a lot of toys, but you got to be able to go sideways. Why? Because if you spread your leg, your ankle has to be able to sort of kink a certain way, and if you don't have that articulation, you're limiting the poses that people can do once they take it out of the package. And part of the fun that people have is taking it out of the package, and some people even do like stop motion stuff like that, and they like to do it. The other thing too, if you happen to pick one of these up, it's one of the Elite editions, and as part of the Elite edition, you can earn points on our McFarlane toy site, and as you get to certain levels of points, then we give you stuff, right? Because we've got, it seems weird, but Disney does this, used to do this too, that they have so much animation sell, it would throw them in the garbage, right? They go, get rid of this. We're kind of like that after 30 years in the toy business, right? We've got a warehouse full of prototypes, paint samples, like things that are either one of a kind or there's only 3 of them and nobody's ever seen them. They were just as part of the process of getting there. So as part of the Elite program, if you have to get certain levels, you hit certain ones, we'll have like 20 prototypes. You get to pick whatever prototype you want. And then there's only 19. And then the next person picks and whatever else. So if you want some stuff, even if you don't like it, I think it's worth it because you can get it and then you can make a lot of money on eBay, right? So we did stuff years ago with sports where we numbered them sequentially from like 1 to 1,000. And people would go, oh my God, I hate LeBron James, but that's number 2. I'm buying it. And they go to eBay and they get $100. They spend $10, they get $100. I don't care, right? We live in a capitalist society. You guys do whatever you have to do. So I'm gonna open this up here real quick. Somebody can hold my microphone here. All right. Oh man!
Don't rip the box.
Who got something sharp?
They don't allow us. Check us. Yeah. You can use my keys.
That's it. Oh, maybe they have it. All right, there you go.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right.
Oh, wow.
All right. You also get a flight stand. You get a flight stand with it. You get a card holder with it, right? There's a couple other things in here. I don't know if you guys can see. I'll show you. In the back, once I take the figure out, there's the flight stand. There's the base in there. In the back. All right, we try to give sort of as much value we can in there. Historically, my goal has always been, how do you build a Cadillac and then sell it at Ford Motor prices, right? So give value and then bring it down to as cheap as possible. I'm not a public company, so I don't have to maximize profits like Sega. And so I can just put it into the toy. Okay, you hold this. I'm gonna punch this figure out here. Ready? All right, thank you, young man. All right, let me see if I can spin some of this around here to show you the amount of movement. So, look at, a bunch of toys do this, right? Remember, we've all had those toys, what I call the sandwich man. They get cut 1, 2, 3, 4, and at the net, there's 5, right? Those are the 5. The problem is you get this with the hand, you can't really do this. But plenty of toys will do stuff here. But the move that a lot of them don't do is right here in the shoulder. Because here's the thing, I'm going to give you guys an anatomy lesson, which is why it's tough making toys right, is my shoulder is away from my head, right? It's not even close to my head. But if I raise my hand, my chin is now on my shoulder. The shoulder actually comes closer. So if you don't make that move even a little bit on your toy, it looks kind of weird to me. So we have, not only do we have the spin of the hands, and we've got the bends, and we've got, look at, there's sort of the normal cut you guys are used to, and then there's the double bend, right? The double bend allows you to go all the way across your body, right? So if you only go a little bit, then you can only go here. Again, we want the knees as much as possible, and we want the arms as much as possible to be able to bend almost like that. Why? You guys can put them in any position you want, right? Some of them are crazy. So this one, I don't know if you guys can see, he can basically pound his chest if he wants to. That's on the same with both of them. But then you've got to be able to come up, and this suit he's got is rubber. Why? Because if it was hard plastic, it would impede this move here. So I've got to be able to put his arm up, and I don't know if you can see, but the jacket sways, right? The jacket will sway, and if it goes here, I got to be able to have the jacket sway. Why? Because that's how it would work in real life a little bit, right? We get the big, deep, look at, there's most bends on most action figures, a lot of them, but if you do the double one, you should be able to kick your own ass, right? No, it's true. Right? Why? Because I can do it, right? So why can't this figure do it? And it's not that you want him to be in those goofy positions, it's just that then it allows you then to go in and put it into almost any pose that you want, right? So there's I don't know if you guys can see it, can you see the kink in the ankle, right? You gotta have the kink in the ankle, because otherwise you can't spread your feet. If you don't have a kink in the ankle, you can't spread your feet. Everything then is just animated from the waist up, and it's not very good. So we've got all the pieces in there. You can see that the pieces that are in there, good. And so here's the thing, that when we send it out, right? So this is the protagonist here, right? Some of you guys call him Makoto, right? So I don't know what you guys want to call him here. We may at some point do the female version, right? From we'll see if we can get approval. So we'll have both the male and the female version of the protagonist. We'll talk to them about that. That's sort of another conversation that we'll end up getting there. But the good people there, and so Mr. Sujimi and his crew, right? They're the ones that are looking at this at all times. They have to pass it. No matter what I do, they send it off to them, right? Mr. Sujimi is the one that designed this character. gives us, like I said, very, very thorough notes. Okay, look at inside of the pack. Might as well pass it around, get some shots. You'll be the only ones in the country with a 3D version of it in your hand. Eventually, I got to get it back up. So don't pocket it. Don't pocket it right. There you go. All right. While they're passing it around, I'm going to open up to a couple questions. Oh man, this guy was anxious right out of the gate. Yes, sir. What is your question?
Actually, yeah. So by far, you've already released like three different Elite editions that based off characters from various licensed products. And do you know if you guys have any plans on making any Elite editions based on characters from the Spawn universe?
Well, is that camera good? Can you see up my nose?
Yes, I can totally see up your nose.
Oh man, TikTok. So when we do Spawn, here's the great thing about owning Spawn. I also created this character called Spawn. When I was at Marvel, I co-created this character called Venom, right? Venom, right? So I own Spawn and have forever, right? We got the longest running creator-owned book in the history of mankind. I got a Guinness Book of World Record for it. So the answer easy is yes. Of all the approval processes, the one that's the easiest is when I go and ask Todd about Spawn. Shit, we get it right every time, right? So yes, we'll do a couple of them. But the reality of it is that there are much bigger brands that are out there that people like about. And so we try to sort of hit those ones first, right? You're constantly, as your sort of one brand's going down, you try to pick another one, and you pick another one going up. So we'll do it, but we do have a ton of Spawn prototypes for the Elite series that's there. So, yes, what do we got? You got a mic. Oh, perfect. We got a roamer.
Sweet, thank you, man.
Okay.
All right, so you are someone who has like made a massive impact in the comic book industry, as we can see with the like the awesome stuff we see on this figure right now. You have also made like the biggest impact on the toy market.
Yeah. Let me just make a comment on that real quick.
Yeah.
I've been at it for over 30 years making toys, right? I broke in making toys asking one simple question. Why can't they just look cooler? Right?
I know, right?
30 years ago, I don't know, most of you aren't even 30, but I'm telling you, I am a geek. And I collect, and I wouldn't buy those fucking toys, right? So, because they were just these little stiff, little weird things, and I just go, why can't people make them cooler? And we made them cooler. We got a lot of cred, and the upside, I was hoping 30 years ago, was that people would then take the playbook and repeat it, so that fast forward 20 years, 30 years today, there'd be a lot more cooler toys. When I went to my very first toy fair, there was one or two toys that I went, man, I would buy that. And now, if you go to Toy Fair or you go to San Diego Con or you go in here, there are hundreds of toys that I would buy from my competitors because they're all making really cool toys. But somebody had to come out and show them that you could sell toys not to moms and 6-year-olds, but you could sell toys to people like you, right? That were spending their own money buying product that they like, right? And so I always tell people who don't understand people who collect, especially people who don't collect action figures. I just go, look, do you think that people buy them and then go home and are playing with them all day long? They're not. They're usually putting them either on the shelf or they got them at their cubicle at work, and it's the equivalent of a t-shirt and a hat. We wear t-shirts with logos. Why? Because we go, we like that logo. And we wear a hat, we go, we like that thing. And toys are the same. They used to be when I was younger, people used to say, if you went through somebody's garbage, you could tell a lot about them. I think the equivalent to that today is, if you go to their cubicle, you can tell a lot about them. Because they've got everything sort of right there that's saying, I like it. So they're not sitting there going, hey, I like this game or this toy or this TV series. They put it up there like a t-shirt, and somebody comes along and goes, oh man, I didn't know what we did. We've done 100 movies. I didn't know you liked that movie. And then you have a conversation with one of your coworkers that you never did before, right? That's it. That's what's the harm in having fun, collecting something that's cool, and being able to share it with others? Anyway, I cut you off on your question.
No, that's fine. I just like listening to you talk.
Yeah, no, my wife does it all the time. She knows. She knows that I talk too much. Yeah.
My question is, so after 30 years of doing this, like all this, do you ever get so tired of being so gosh darn awesome?
Thanks, Mom. Here's what I'm going to tell you. Here's what I'm going to tell you, and I don't say this like oh yeah. Look at nobody here in this room is more bored of Todd than me, right? Because you got to get to go home and get rid of that dude, right? I got to put up with him every day of my life, and I don't get to unplug the guy, right? So, but here's what I'm going to tell you artistically. I always think my best day artistically, our best toy, my best comic is coming tomorrow. It's never behind, like, if I climb the mountaintop, if I believe, and it may be true that my best is behind me, but you can't think that. I always am going, oh, just wait till you see what I do in 10 years, right? And when I get there, I'm gonna go, just wait till another 10 years past that, right? They're all, like, if you think that you're not getting any better, I don't know, it seems like it'd be hard to motivate you, right? My brain is telling me, if you think that's good, just wait till you see what I've got coming out, right? I'm still young, right? I got another 40 years. Yeah! All right, just good man.
How did the conversation start between Sega and you to start making this specific toy?
Well, as you can imagine, Sega's a big company, and they've got lots of brands, right? You can see all the logos up here. So you either are having meetings with them, like one-on-one, and I get to have more of those because my wife and I just moved here to California from Phoenix after 30 years, so we're going to be local like you guys, so cool LA. Right? Yeah! It's going to take me a while to root for the Dodgers though. So, no, they were the bad guys for 30 years, so I got to ease into it. But the other one is they're like our shows, licensing shows and things like that. So you go there and you can get in contact with them. And then other times, literally, you just knock on doors. You pay attention to what's happening on the internet, and you knock on doors, and you go, hey, people are talking about this, so you go after them. I don't remember exactly how this one got there, but it's usually one of those three things, right? So you just watch you guys, and you guys will eventually lead us to the stuff that's popular. So, yes, sir.
Hello, Todd.
Hello.
A little off topic, but can we have any news about the new King Spawn movie?
Oh! Yeah! All right. I'm gonna give you my definition of Hollywood. Right? My definition of Hollywood is you do 3 projects. You live to be 70. You die, and they call you prolific. Right? 3. Right? I live in a world of making hundreds and hundreds of toys every year, and we do comic books every month, every week. I think we put 4 comic books out last week. Like, we just crank out content. But that Hollywood thing, woo, that thing like waits a long time between yeses. So here's what I'll say, and it'll be very limited because I've been saying a lot of stuff, and it keeps sort of getting its roadblock. Everybody involved in the project is working towards it, right? I just had a meeting with a big name director who looks like they're coming on board, but I'm not going to say and announce any news. I want the next news to be we've sold the product to a studio, or we've self-financed it, or we've got financiers, and we have a production date. And that will be, to me, the next big news. Sold, going into production, here's the director, here's the writer, here's the actors, here's who we've added, boom. Because I've just been teasing, it's been years and years, and I'm getting tired of it, my wife's getting tired of my family, just like, Todd, just make the damn movie. So we'll get there, but I'm telling you, it's still gonna be R. It's gonna be R-rated, dark, ugly, scary. I was showing the director, I've got photos of the designs that we made. There's a good man has a studio here in town named Greg Nicotero.
Yeah!
So Greg Nicotero is the one that created all the zombies for Walking Dead TV show, and then ended up directing a bunch of them. But his first sort of career was he created a bunch of designs for a bunch of movies. So we've created all these cool, gnarly, dark, ugly looks for Spawn that are not superhero-esque in the truest sense. Let Marvel and DC do that. We can't compete because they've got $250 million for each one of those movies. But we'll just, everybody's going. I'm telling you. Ask Jason Blum. Every day he's like, it's coming. We'll get there. Sorry, I don't have more, but we're going to get there. Hopefully before I die. So, yeah.
Thank you.
All right, let's see. Let's go back here. Oh, you got one. Let's go back here a little bit so that we can get some of the people in here.
Yeah, got a question.
Right here. The guy with the hand up. There it is.
I have a question.
Do it. You're in the right place.
Since Diamond Select lost the Marvel license, is there a possibility for you to pick it up?
No.
7-inch line.
No. Here's why. Here's why. Here's how the world works, and it's going to continue to work this way. So you have Marvel, right? Big company, public company. They're good. They got lots of content, and they make money. They also have some good partners. One of their big giant partners is Hasbro Toys. Hasbro gives them hundreds of millions of dollars in royalties every year, right? They give them a lot of money, right? And so anybody coming in, myself included, if I was to come in, then I'm kind of competing in their sort of stage, on their stage. They've got this stuff here. So if anything, some of that stuff is going to go away so that they can keep the berth a little cleaner for some of their partners that are really good. I understand it, it's frustrating, but in reverse, I would want the same thing. If I was giving them a ton of money and then they kept sort of sawing off pieces and giving it away, and I've been there before, it's frustrating, right? So we'll continue to make the Marvel figures that we're making, that are the statues, the collector things, but we can't do articulation, right? Because that's the piece that basically is the demarcation mark of it. Who knows? Maybe we'll figure out some kind of partnership with Hasbro. That would be the way to come in the back door. But yeah.
McFarlane 7-inch Venom figure.
No, that was my original pitch to them. I go, hey, you're not competing with them because here's what we can do. We can do Marvel figures of McFarlane artwork signed by McFarlane. Nobody else can do that except for me, so you're not competing with anybody else. So we got sort of mostly there, it's just we couldn't do the articulation. And I get it, right? So anyway. Question right here, Dodger.
Hey, regarding...
What was the score yesterday?
Perhaps you guys have seen last night's game, but it was 18-1. We got munched out by the Houston Astros.
On July 4th, the big crowd, 18-1 for the bad guys out. So, yeah.
Anyways, regarding the question of Spawn, would there ever be a Spawn versus Ghost Rider crossover?
Dude, look at some point you don't hold back. So there should be a Spawn versus Metaphor crossover.
Yeah.
There should be a Spawn versus Yakuza
Sonic.
crossover.
Yeah.
There should be a Spawn. Look at, I've actually lent Spawn. I don't know if you guys have seen. He's been in recently. He was in Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Right? And then he was in Mortal Kombat and stuff like that. Right. At some point, either do in Soul Calibur years ago, and so either come up with a crossover and I just hit a knock on more people's door, going, you can have the character, put him in. Right? And whenever, let me tell you, whenever I lend Spawn in there, they go, well, what do you want us to do? And my answer is always the same. I want you to design my character in such a way that somebody who's playing it has never heard of it, doesn't know anything about Spawn, doesn't know anything about me, nothing, and they still think that's the coolest character in your game. You know your fans, you know your game, make that character. And if it's not exactly what's happening in the comic book, I don't care. Make them popular in your game and rock and roll with them. So I don't know if anybody's got a timer or no. Because sometimes I can go all day, guys, right? So they usually kick me off. They usually kick me off stage because you're got to get the next one. But if nobody's going to kick me off, we got questions. Let's do it, Mr. Under Armour.
So I read somewhere that that you
Eat it like this.
that you made a. There you go. Thank you.
You ever seen a singer?
That Spawn,
You ever seen a singer do this? And
yeah, I have.
Come on, you can do it.
Okay, so Spawn, you sat on your shelf for a while before you actually brought him out. Is that true, or how did you come up with Spawn?
Guys, I don't think I was any different than anybody else. I started collecting comic books pretty late in the game. I was about 16 years old, right? And at 16, then I went, I'm going to teach myself how to draw American comic book style. I was always an artist, but I didn't have a style. So I go, I'm going to teach myself American superhero comic book. So I drew Superman and Batman and Spider-Man. I was doing all their characters, but I also created a bunch. And one of the ones that I created was Spawn. And oddly, when I created it, it was actually a sci-fi, because it was 1976, and we were just like, Star Wars were just coming, right? Like it was like the Star Wars thing. Everybody likes space. Let's put them out in space. But I knew that when I eventually got a job at Marvel, I never pulled them out. And I knew that if I ever left Marvel or DC Comics, I've worked at both, that I would pull out Spawn first. And when we started Image Comics, just so you guys know, there's Marvel, DC, and then 6 of us left and started Image Comics. We are the 3rd biggest and have been for 30 years, right?
Yeah!
If you ask the next question, I know 1 and 2, who's 3? That's us. I created Venom. One of my partners created Cable. Another partner created Deadpool. Eventually brought on a partner that created The Walking Dead. Right, so there's a lot of talent in the pool, but we just wanted to go and do our own stuff. I pulled out Spawn, and that was my very first one. And I don't know, do we got any people here know what Spawn is or have read Spawn?
Yeah!
Okay, well, at the beginning, as we all know, Spawn, the whole thing is he just wants to go back to the love of his life, and everything gets turned upside down. It is no accident that the love of his life in the comic book is Wanda. I'd like to introduce my wife, Wanda, over here. We'll be celebrating.
Yeah!
So people go, did you name Wanda after Wanda? No, it was just a coincidence. Of course I did. Of course I did. What are you talking about? And I started dating Wanda. I'll go a little bit sideways. I started dating Wanda when she was 13. We've been around a long time together, right? We dated 7 years. We'll be celebrating our 40th anniversary in a couple weeks. So we've been almost 50 years combined together. But I remember the first time she found out I collected comics. It was horrifying, right? Because again, you're trying to look good. You want to get the girl. You want to get on a date. And then all of a sudden you open up, remember they call it a closet collector, right? Look, you guys don't know you're 30. Everything's gotten cool because of all the superhero movies and all the internet. And if you're not back then, you were ostracized if you were a geek. And so when I opened it up in my closet and she looked and she went, oh my God, because I had them all stacked up, right? Oh my God, what's that, right? And now you're going, oh man, I'd like to get a kiss tonight, so you just do the only thing that you can. You know why? And you go, those are my brothers. I don't even know why he collects that stuff, right? So, boom. But eventually, she found out that it was actually me, and I've got way too much of it. Now I've got a warehouse full of stuff that's out there. But, all right, maybe a couple questions. I don't know if they're going to kick me off or...
We've got time for one more question.
Okay. Okay, this guy, he got the question?
Todd, I was wondering, when you're developing a story for the first time, how developed is the story in your mind? Do you know where all the characters and where the story's going to go front to end, or do you just start writing?
My process would horrify other writers. I know for a fact. Look, I remember the first issue I did of Spawn. I had my 20 pages down on the ground, and I had a writer that was in there. And then I had all the pages, and then I went, And he goes, what are you doing? And I go, I don't know, I'm just moving the scenes around. And they're going, you don't know what your story is? I'm like, no, I know what my story is. I know the 5,000 foot one of what the story is. But for this one, I think that this scene goes better if I put it here, 4 pages earlier, right? That's horrifying to writers because remember, I was an artist first and then I became a writer, right? So true writers, they're like, what are you doing, Todd? This isn't how you're supposed to do it, right? So, I don't know, to some extent, you just, I don't overthink stuff, right? People have asked these, I've done documentaries and things like that, and people try to get esoteric and go, why do you think people like Spider-Man so much? And even Stan Lee, who I spent a ton of time with, well, he's really relatable and you guys can relate with him. He's your age and he makes mistakes and everything else. And I'm going, that doesn't explain Batman. That dude's a rich ass. He's got a, I'll tell you what I think is common between the two of them. That guy's fucking cool and he can climb buildings with his sticky fingers called Spider-Man and swing. And that other guy's got a cool badass black costume and he scares the crap out of people. They're both cool, right? Why are we overthinking this? Everybody, I think, at some point forgets they were 10 years old. And there's a cool factor. The toys are completely transparent. You are not hiding anything. Unlike a book, unlike an album, even to some extent, unlike a movie, because all you can get is a trailer. A toy, for the most part, is in a package that you see what everything you're about to buy. So you are as educated about it as possible, right? So this is why I like toys. I'm just going, the way I was surviving with toys against the big companies with big brands. I didn't have a big brand for the first 5 years. I just made a cooler toy than they did, and I priced it at the same price. Look, at some point, let me tell you, people understand. You want a Hershey chocolate bar for $1 this big or this big? Both $1. Both Hershey's chocolate. To me, it was plastic. You want this much plastic or you want this much plastic? I just make bigger toys. I intentionally make my toys bigger at the beginning. I've made some really big ones that I lost money on because I wanted to be able to have a tagline that says, my toy ships bigger than theirs, right? So I wanted my turd to be taller than their figures, right? And so I made these big toys and people understood, fun. For $5 you can have that one or you can have that one. That one's 4 times bigger, get it, right? So, and if you put a brand on top of that, you give them good price, lots of plastic, and a brand, woo, that's a home run. You can't lose on that combo. So, all right, everybody, thanks for coming. Everybody gets to see this for the very first time. For everybody, you guys got to see it in person. Everybody else is going to be doing the pre-order. I appreciate it. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your show here. And for those of you, if you've got a 4-day pass, pace yourself. Day 4, everybody moves a little bit slower, but I hope you guys enjoy yourself. Thanks for having me today. That's it.